No, I'm muted. I'm muted. Hello. I boomered. Oh no. Rewind. What's going on, everyone? It's Nina Infinity. Welcome to my channel on this Wednesday. This is Infinite Talk, and my co-host is running a little bit late, but he is going to be here. He's actually in the back trying to figure out his camera because he's boomering too, so that's fine. This is a boomer show. It's a good start. Yay! Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say hi to all the chat. What's going on? Turtle love, Braz Monkey, Turtle love, everybody. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here tonight. This is it's gonna be a fun show. I usually hang out with John at least once a month. This is we started the show together. Kind of, I just want to give you guys, if you're new here, a little bit of a background, because usually on Wednesdays I do Breaking the Narrative, but this tonight is Infinite Talk because this is the show John and I started together when I first started YouTubing. That's what we would do. We would hang out, especially during the quarantine, and we would talk forever for hours on end. So that's how this show started. Came combination of our talk of our names, John Talks and Nina Infinity. So we made it Infinite Talk, and so we decided to keep the tradition alive and just keep at least once a month kind of catch up with each other and just talk about clown world stuff and all the news that's going on. And I see him in the back. Are you good? Are you good to go? Yeah. Thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Hi, John. Hi.
Hey, what's up, Nina? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
It's going
Sorry.
good over here. Oh no.
I was boomering it up.
It's okay. I boomered too. I started muted.
I've been there. In fact, I've done that for like 10 minutes. Didn't even know. Went off on a rant, and then I see in the chat nobody can hear you. So.
Oh my God. I remember those days when you would live stream and then I'd be like in the chat being like, you're muted, until I had to like text you and be like, you're muted. And then
I might have actually gained more viewers that way, is because I was muted. And they were
like, oh, this guy's really interesting. Let's see how long.
Yeah, let's see how long, that might have been more interesting than the actual conversation that I was having with myself, I guess.
That, and the other one that was funny is when you would fall asleep and people would be like, oh my God, John's asleep again. Let's see how long this goes.
I don't think. When did that happen?
That happened a couple of times.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I fall asleep on? Wow.
Yeah.
That's when you've just done one too many live streams and you don't even remember. I believe you, though. I believe you.
See, there's the old school people. They know that you and I started this weird adventure together. Aiken is sending a little smile member message. Thank you. Hello, Aiken. Hello, everybody. And I got an early super chat here from the Buzz CJC. Thank you for the 5. Says the Tucker leaks have backfired on Media Matters. We like him even more now, as if that was possible. Did you see all that stuff, John? We haven't even caught up in so long.
No.
Did you see the leaks?
No.
Oh, I'm so excited then. We're going to get your reaction to all the leaks because that was really fun. Yes, Jane knows the drunk stream. That was the epic one. The giggles.
The hiccup stream.
And the hiccups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's I was thinking about that today because I was kind of like going through my little, just like sometimes you get nostalgic, and I was like, when's my anniversary, like YouTube anniversary? And it's like in June.
Oh, okay.
And like and I was like, oh my God, because before I started the channel, we were hanging out already for like several months. So I was like, when did I do that? Like when did I actually start? And I was like, our friend anniversary is coming up. And I was like thinking about all of it. I think our friend anniversary passed, but I don't know. But either way, happy friend anniversary, John.
Yeah, happy friend anniversary. Well, I think that was the first live stream that we did together. Was I had you on for it was a haircut competition. Yeah, during the times of COVID.
Yeah.
So.
And then I was like, can I come back on and like we can actually talk?
Which reminds me, I think I've got to get Tyron. I have his cyber frog. I got to mail it out to him. He lives in Australia, so that shipping fee is going to be.
That's going to be a bitch.
Yeah. But that's funny. It's just funny how, it's like the project. I guess I didn't anticipate EVS's. I thought it was going to be done maybe a little bit sooner, but it worked out fine. But I just remember when I got it in the mail, because I ordered 2 copies. So I got one for myself, and of course I got one for him. But I'm like,
promises were made.
Yeah. No, I gotta fulfill them now. So
there's Raging Rhino. We used to do a show with him too. It was called Fantastic Four for a little bit.
What's up, Raging?
You and I and Fatal J. That was fun. That was a fun time. I got to hang out with Raging Rhino this week on was it Flashcast? Yeah, it was Flashcast on Anna's channel. For a second, I thought it was the Jack show, but it was Flashcast. And I remember Lofty was on, and Raging Rhino kept telling Lofty to shut the fuck up, and it was really funny. Raging Rhino's great. Everybody subscribe to Raging Rhino. He rages a lot.
I went I found his channel, or I had to search for his channel to watch his Mandalorian stuff. So I actually found him in my subscriptions. I tried searching. I just punched his name in YouTube, and I'm like, where is he? And then I went through my subscriptions, and I'm like, oh, okay, here he is.
They also have a new channel. Well, it's not a new channel. It's kind of like a new old channel, but I think they because they have the Full Aussie, but now the Full Aussie has its own channel. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe to the Full Aussie as well. Anna does Flashcast better than Flash. That's funny. I don't know about that, but it is really funny. But so let me ask you, because we haven't talked for a while. So what was your thoughts on the whole Tucker Carlson leaving Fox News, or being asked to leave? I don't know exactly what the hell happened, but I guess some people were saying he was fired. Some people were saying it was a mutual agreement. I don't think it was very mutual, personally.
Well, do you know why, at least the initial reports, do you know why they said that he got fired?
Wasn't it because of that whole lawsuit thing, or the January 6th thing?
I think it was a Dominion lawsuit. I think was at least one of the reports that I saw.
That was what I saw. I saw the Dominion lawsuit. I saw another reason was going around about him being basically blamed, or I should say, what's his name? Rupert Murdoch. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
He didn't like him, and he didn't like his reporting on January 6th. So that was another reason, apparently, that was made. But I mean, I don't know. Either way, I mean, I thought it was a huge mistake for them to let him go. It was because he's basically why people tune in. People tune in for Tucker. Most people tune in for Tucker. So what did you think of all of that?
Well, I think the thing is, if you fire Tucker, it's not going to bring back the money that you've lost in the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't now, perhaps, of course, maybe they're trying to, in this way it could, is because you're cutting the probably the insane salary that he gets. He probably makes a ton of money because he brings in a ton of viewers.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, I kind of get why they did it. Like if Rupert Murdoch was like, crap, this guy's a liability. He's costing us money. Mm-hmm. Again, just looking at it from a business perspective, I'm not saying it's, I'm somebody that is trying to look at it from every angle. And even though I don't necessarily agree with what they did, I kind of can understand why they did it. It's kind of like if you have a player on a team, like let's say like a Kyrie Irving, or I know you're in the NBA, Nina, or really a Kawhi Leonard at this point,
Mm-hmm.
who you can't rely on to show up, especially when,
or the injuries and everything.
Yeah. In that way, they're a liability. I suppose they could see Tucker as a liability because is this guy going to say something that is going to get us into another like huge, massive lawsuit that is going to cost us millions? And so it's like, they might just say, you know what, it's just better to cut him, open up some space and free agency and see if we'll spend a lot less on their salary, and we'll see if we can develop a new star.
But it's not that's also really short-sighted, because even if he was to hypothetically cause them another lawsuit or something like that, in the meantime, he's their bread and butter. Like, he's the one that people are, like, tuning in to see.
Sure.
So it's really kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your head. What is that saying? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I probably just
As
butchered
Michael
it.
Scott would say, despite her face.
Yeah,
But
you know what I
yeah.
mean.
I'm trying to look right now and see how much that Dominion lawsuit
Wasn't it like
cost him, because I want to
44
say it was
million or
near.
something?
No, I feel like it was way. I thought it was somewhere near. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong. Yeah, $787.5 million. We're talking almost.
Man.
Yeah, we're talking almost $1 billion. Well, 78%, like of $1 billion. I mean, I'm not sure what Tucker Carlson's salary is, but I know it ain't anywhere near that.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So when you lose if you lose your company, again, as much value as Tucker brings, and again, look, I like Tucker Carlson, and this is where people are probably going to be like, John, what the fuck, man? What are you talking about here? But if you lose a company $787 million, they're going to feel a certain way about it.
How much did Kathleen Kennedy lose Lucasfilm?
I mean, it's not necessarily an objective amount, but we know it's a lot of money that has been left on the table because of the decisions she's made. So we could be talking maybe $1 billion. It's all conjecture though, right?
Yeah.
This year we have a concrete number, $787.5 million.
Yeah. That is interesting. That is an interesting perspective that I didn't really consider, but at the same time, I'm like,
okay,
I still think he would bring in a lot of money. I don't know.
Here's the thing. And I agree, like advertiser wise and everything, but Tucker earns $35 million salary. All the money that they had to spend in that lawsuit isn't even probably close to the total that they've paid Tucker Carlson. Like that's, throughout all of these years. So, yeah, I mean, the other option would be you tell Tucker, like, yeah, you're kind of on a leash. We're going to have to literally look through every single thing. You're going to have to get it okayed by us. I mean, that was probably, in some ways, it's Fox's own fault for not, whoever the editor or whoever was in charge, to kind of have the foresight to know that, yeah, we might be getting into risky behavior.
But was the Dominion lawsuit specifically because of Tucker? I mean, I don't think it was specifically about. Wouldn't it be like the entire production team of who's doing his show? Like,
well, they might have got
doing the reporting.
They could have got canned along with him,
That's also true.
But
I don't know.
He might be making some of those decisions because he when you're as big as Tucker Carlson, now you have more sway and you have more leverage, right, to do the things that you want to do because you're bringing a lot of value to the table. But that's the thing where it's like, again, example, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, he's a basketball player for you guys who aren't maybe NBA fans, but he played games 1, 2, and he is, in terms of talent, like he's one of the best in the NBA. But all of a sudden, then he said he had an injury. Nobody saw the injury happen. And so he sat out, I think it was like game 3. And now you have this guy you are paying a shit ton of money for. And it's like, you can't even depend on him. He is a liability. Now he's costing you because now you've lost in the playoffs, everything you've invested. And that's where it's like, sure, you can say like, but Tucker he brought so much value to the table. But at the same time, when you have a $787 million in the red for a company, it does not matter how much value you bring to the table, unless you are bringing that and then some. I can see why Rupert Murdoch was probably like, fuck this guy. I want him out of here.
I have a couple of points.
Again, I'm not saying I agree with him, and I'm not saying, but I could see if somebody loses me that much money and I own the business, I'm not going to be having good feelings.
The thing, John, though, I think that there's 2 points. I think one, Rupert Murdoch's a piece of shit, and I think he's using the Dominion lawsuit to fire Tucker based on two things. One, because of the January 6th reporting that Tucker did, where he basically released all the videos and all the different things. I think Rupert Murdoch still wanted him to toe the line of the deep state, and Fox News is part of the narrative still. So he wanted them to to some point, to some level, toe that line, and Tucker wasn't going to, and he didn't. So he went ahead and released that information, probably without the blessing of Rupert Murdoch. And two, 5 days before he got fired, he had on Robert Kennedy, who is now running for president, and he went off about the CIA. He went off about all of the things. He went off about so many different things. And that's how, and like, again, something that, Fox doesn't really want kind of shown, because they are part of the narrative. They are still part of that media, that the mainstream media, that they don't want those kind of ideas out there. So I think that it was kind of like a distraction thing, and kind of like, let's use this as an excuse to get rid of Tucker, because he's a liability, but not the way you think in terms of money, John, in terms of actually waking people up to what the fuck is going on. And to some extent, Fox News has to still, toe that line. But
here, I want everybody to remember the fact that Tucker, and I forgot who else on Sean Hannity, they themselves were caught red-handed, basically saying that they don't believe, that the election was, that there was anything fraudulent about it. And yet they were on their program reporting that the very opposite, or at least leading into this idea that they at least it seemed like they thought that it was. Mm-hmm. And their text messages that were gone through, I think because of the January 6th trial and everything, showed that they did not necessarily believe what they were saying. So even when it comes to Tucker on that level, or Sean Hannity, they will say what sells. It just proves that there's an incongruence even with themselves, that you cannot even trust the individuals, let alone the news corporations, to be, forthright and honest. Which, again, it's funny because everybody on the right just kind of glossed over, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to really pay attention to that because, Tucker's our man. But it's like, no, this guy lied to you, like, straight up. He led you to believe that he believed one thing, but behind the scenes, through text
about
messages,
what specifically?
About the election being,
not forthright.
I won't go into, but so what he was saying was not in line with what he truly believed.
That's interesting.
And so
I didn't see that.
There's a lot of different levels to, I think we like to paint people to be, here's the hero, Tucker Carlson, man of the people, and Fox News corporate, part of the deep state. They're part of this, so these clear-cut hero villain narratives, when I think it's probably in a lot of ways even more complex than that. And that people are human beings, and they're faulty, and sometimes they lie. They're not completely honest, and they're driven by money sometimes. I mean, it's not
sometimes.
We should say most of the time, if not all of the time, somewhere in between there. Most of the time to all of the time. A lot of people, they'll, that's
most of the time they toe the line, and that's the thing. And that's why I think Tucker wasn't really doing that. And when he came out with that whole, January 6th, and he exposed the videos and everything like that, I don't think that's what Fox News wanted them to do. So I think that was something that they really kind of went against Tucker's. Yeah, I don't know.
They're fine with it until the point where, you get a $787 million lawsuit. basically whatever sells and whatever's within the lines, I think they're willing to do it because they know their position in terms of like there's CNN and then there's us.
What if they had lost that lawsuit? Then you think they would have kept him, no problem?
If Dominion lost lawsuit, then yes. Yeah. He'd still be
so you don't think that
businesses are driven by money most of the time? That's the case.
You don't think that like him releasing the January 6th stuff or doing the interview with RFK, you don't think any of that had anything to do with it? Just specifically the amount of money that is supposedly.
I think it's like Occam's razor, where sometimes the simplest explanation is actually the explanation. And if you lose, if you're working at any place and you lose them an exorbitant amount of money, like, yeah, they're going to fire you. They just are. Like, why wouldn't they? I mean, it's like and I don't care if you work 10 years for the company, because if you wind up, here's the thing, as long as you're bringing them value and making them money, they'll be happy. Any business, for the most part, will be happy with that. But once you have lost them far more than what you have given them, that's a difficult thing to say. But when you lose a company $787 million, it'd be an incredible thing for them to actually keep you.
Well, like, it's a really interesting take, John. One I had not heard. So that's I think it's fascinating to hear you talk about it like that. Deranged Lunatic, aka DL for $1.99 says, have you been following the Lori Daybell murder trial? I have not. I don't know what that is. Have you been following this?
No, I haven't.
No idea.
What is it?
Look it up. Lori Daybell.
Okay, no, I haven't. I haven't heard of it. Yeah.
Down Lori Daybell. I'll have to look at it. I'll look that up later, DL. Thank you for letting me know. Russell Hall for $2 says they shouldn't have settled for anywhere near that. I'm guessing he means the Dominion thing.
I guess Dominion must have been going after far more than that. I mean, it's probably $1 billion. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty damn high number to settle for, but I'm not sure what kind of position they were in.
The Tech Crisis for 5 says, if I remember right, Tucker was not named in the suit and was critical of the Dominion thing from the get-go. I seem to remember very similar thing about him being critical of it, but I don't necessarily, I'm not too familiar.
All it can take is really just one single program where he says something and then they'll, what is it, defamation or something similar to that, right? Where, yeah. And it's really the size of the claim being made. Like here it's like our democracy. And again, whether or not, I mean, we're not gonna talk about this on Nina's channel, but just in terms of the law, here you're literally putting the United States democracy on trial, which is a very big thing to be trying to cast doubt upon. And so an operation like Dominion, they've got a lot of money, a lot of lawyers that they can lawyer up with. Yeah.
It's fascinating. The Tom Berry Master, thank you for the $25, saying, with this super chat, Nina is now making more money than Fox News. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, especially now. And then we got James Curran, thank you for the 2, says Tuck had one advertiser. Fox will be fine. I think they'll both be fine. Especially Tucker. I think he has a lot of I think Fox is going to be less fine than Tucker, but Tucker is going to be just fine. He has a lot of opportunities now. He can go independent. He can go with other people that will offer him a shitload of money. I have no doubt that he's going to be just fine. The Tech Crisis for 5 says 5 minutes on Google shows that he was skeptical of Dominion thing. He was also not named in the lawsuit like the others. There you go. Russell Hall for 2 says they're going to lose a lot of more money now. Genius. That's what I think too, Russell. I think I think that Fox is going to lose a lot of money, especially when they come out with stuff like this. This is the other stuff that, look, even if people had any reservations about what's going on with Tucker Carlson, when you do stuff like this, I think this is just like, it just is such a bad look on Fox, because these Tucker leaks, like, it was so funny because I read this thing going, Fox leaks Tucker Carlson's creepy behind the scenes comments. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, like, is Tucker going to go off and like pull a Kanye, like, start going off about some stuff that he really shouldn't be talking about, or like pull a Nick Fuentes, or like, I don't know, start groping ladies behind the scenes. Cause they also have this like kind of like this picture going on with this chick, like kind of like, trying to fix his hair or whatever. So I'm like, is this going to be like some sort of really damning thing that we're going to see, that it's going to be like, oh, this is why this guy is so liable, right? This is why they had to let this guy go, because he's going to get freaking Fox News sued, and there's going to be all these sexual freaking things coming out. No, okay. The leaks are ridiculous, and they made me like Tucker Carlson more. So here's the first one.
Everyone in this company is thrilled that you're doing this. I've gotten more calls from people about it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I got to say, when I came to New York a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't believe how welcoming and friendly everybody was. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, they really mean it, from the owners on down.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see it. I like that. It's a good, people are nice in this company, I think. They've always been nice to me anyway.
I completely agree. Everyone's been very, very friendly and very nice, and I really appreciate it. But thank you so much for coming on. It's fantastic.
I bet that doesn't change. Of course.
Yeah. It's just great to have you on my show. I mean, I've been on yours enough times. It's great.
I think it's totally cool. So let's, if we're going to talk about sex, I'd love to hit some of the fine points of technique. But it's your show. It's totally up to you.
We can certainly talk about your sexual technique, especially after your tanning testicles last week.
Not mine. We'll speak.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, oh my God, he has a sense of humor. Like, shocker. Like, holy shit. Yeah. Here's another one. There's 3. So
I mean, that's not really very incriminating. He probably
terrible.
I think the thing is, like, if you're going to be a little sarcastic, like, you have to just kind of smile or a little bit about it, acknowledge the fact that you're being sarcastic. Mm-hmm. He said it very, very, like, very straight, like when he said about technique. But of course, I think, he's being sarcastic, of course.
But that's Tucker's face. He always has that face. It's like that. Have you seen those like memes that they've made of him? Like serious face,
where he's
laughing
like
face.
Looking at the.
Yeah, it's always the same confused face. He's like.
It's
his
like
face is stuck like that. Okay, here we go. This is the second one.
You wouldn't? Okay, I'm not. You know what? I'm not qualified on that score. I will say. I thought his girlfriend was kind of yummy. Just kidding. Just kidding. In case this is being pulled off the bird.
See, yeah, just kidding.
Hey, media matters for America. Go fuck yourself. That's the first thing I want to say tonight. Second thing is, totally kidding. I don't even know what his girlfriend looks like. And if I did, I would not
behind
find
the scenes
her
clips.
Yeah. These are behind the scenes clips that are being released to say that Tucker Carlson's such a bad person.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one probably isn't going to help him with conservative, Christians.
This one, and when he told media matters to go fuck themselves, guess who released this? Media Matters. Here's another one. This is the last one, which I thought was the most. This was the funniest one to me. I was like,
I mean, unless he slaps this girl in the ass, I don't really know what the.
Exactly. Like, I was thinking, like, he's gonna be like,
or he says something dirty to her.
Yeah, or he like, he's like, oh yeah, nice tits, girl, or like, you look really fine today, or so, I don't know, whatever.
It's something unprofessional.
Yeah, that is not what happened. Here we go.
Well, I feel great. I can never assess my appearance. I wait for my postmenopausal fans to weigh in on my IFB. What? They want to control me from afar? Okay, I'm putting the leash on. You can... Fuck it, we'll do it live! I got you, baby.
I mean, there's nothing. The thing is, yeah, he's cursing and he's swearing. And I think that's the problem where people want to project on the, Tucker Carlson, and especially probably conservatives, where that this guy is extremely, clean and wholesome. And he's not. He works in the media. He's probably filthy rich, so.
He's a human being and he talks like a human being. That's why it's like, okay, like when these guys say creepy, I'm like, look, this is not creepy. Okay. That's
creepy.
You know who's creepy? Don Lemon. Like that dude is weird and creepy and I don't like him. He gives me the creeps. But this dude, not so much. Like he's very funny. Like he just seems really funny and like he has a good sense of humor. And I'm like, this is the day and age we live in where this thing that is very humorous is being perceived as and being told to us that it's creepy, and it's not, and that's why I feel like a lot of men have issues these days with women, especially. Because it's like, we don't know, like, they don't know what to do with us. Because they're like, okay, if whatever I say, if I'm trying to be funny or whatever, I'm going to come off as creepy. And it's like, no, this dude just has a freaking sense of humor. Like, who cares?
You're being a male chauvinist.
Yeah.
You're being, chauvinistic or what is it? Masculinely toxic.
Misogynist.
Misogynist. That's it. And it's like, I don't know. What do you... And really, I think secretly women like it. Maybe not all of them. Maybe not all the Karens that are like, foaming at the mouth if you even dare say anything that is misogynistic. But I do think even women that are, I think it's kind of double speak sometimes where they want you to talk like that, but yet maybe I'm wrong here. I could be wrong. But it is just a weird day and age that we're living in. And, God forbid you say anything, remotely.
It really is. It's really weird. Russell Hall, $5 says, if they were letting him go for the reason you suggest, they wouldn't have done it out of the blue right before a show. Think a little harder. I think Russell, I'm pretty sure you're referring to John. So,
well, I think it was right after the lawsuit, fairly close to after the lawsuit was settled. So I don't know. I don't think it's really that much of a stretch, at least in my opinion.
What are you drinking?
I've got some whiskey.
Ooh, nice. Women can do stuff now. Yes, we can. Women can do stuff now. But yeah, anyways, I just thought the FOXLEAKS were hilarious because pretty much everyone, and it's funny that you say that conservative Christians would maybe find that not a great look.
That's a camp, that's a group of people within, because I mean, if you think about it, who makes up the right?
But on Twitter, though, and I know Twitter is like a special place. But on Twitter, most conservative Christians that I know of were like, this is supposed to be funny, and we like him even more now.
As long as you have realistic expectations about people, and your judgments aren't clouded by, projecting your own narrative on them, then you're not going to be surprised by that. That Tucker Carlson is a human being who, curses and swears and, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, right. Like you have realistic expectations of the person. You're not like, oh, this person's just, I don't know, a saint, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
False sainthood. It's weird. There's also this thing that was going around today about, again, media trying to paint Tucker Carlson in the worst light possible. And of course, this comes from CNN. So it says, in the new reveal, text messages ousted Fox News host Tucker Carlson made a racist comment and said that he found himself briefly rooting for a mob of Trump supporters to kill a person. Now, this article was immediately debunked in the comments by Sarah Rose here, posting what Tucker actually posted, which he said, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a video of people fighting on the street in Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1, at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder and kill him. I really wanted him to hurt the kid, supposedly.
Okay.
It says a redacted portion of Exhibit 276. I could taste it. So, hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being. Much as I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally if I knew him, I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by it. I should remember that somewhere somebody probably loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. If I don't care about those things, if I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is? So I think this is a very, like, personally, I think that this is a very reflective post. I don't think Tucker was trying to be like, I think he was trying to actually genuinely be like, yeah, when you hate someone, you have to kind of like take a deeper look at what's wrong with you, like deep down inside of why you feel a certain way. I mean, I feel like that about, like, sometimes about Fauci or other people. And I'm like, I really wish, ill on certain people.
Well,
and then I'm like, that's turning me bad.
Yeah, but
So
I don't think that's the point that they're saying
reflective.
is racist. I think the point where he said at least one point that stuck out to me, it's not how white men fight. So to make this generalization that black people only fight in groups or gangs and white men always fight alone, that's not true.
I guess that could be.
I mean, if you watch,
racist?
I mean, it is. To me, it's like, yeah, that kind of, because I'd say it's a racist generalization. Like it's not like 100% of black men only fight in groups.
But is that really deep? Is that the core of the message here? I don't think that's
I don't think that's probably the only. I mean, there's a few different things where I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't the smartest thing to say. Even admitting that you wanted the guy. I mean, I find that a little weird, admitting that you wanted this guy to be killed. Hit him harder, kill him. I'm like, it's a little like, yeah, that's
It's not, though. It's very human.
I think it's on. Yeah, no, I think it's honest. It maybe if that's, but I think maybe almost to a fault. I don't know. Maybe I have at some point where I saw somebody, I mean, do something absolutely wretched to another person, and then I was like, yeah.
Like, for example,
I don't know about kill that guy, but maybe he's not saying kill that guy as in literally delete him, extinguish him from existence.
Well, like, for example, like I had, well, I mean, like, for example, like I saw that the new Chris Rock special on Netflix, and he was making fun of the whole, being slapped by Will Smith. And he was saying, like, I like, part of his joke was saying that I had never, I finally saw Emancipation, and I found myself rooting for the master, and I was saying, like, hit him harder, master, hit him harder. So, like, it's just like, it's very, very, I don't know, natural for, I think for,
but it wasn't like he said, and I wanted him, and it's a movie after all. So if Will Smith dies in a movie, it's not real.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still really, it's really, a dark joke, if you will, because it's like you're talking about slavery and some like, dude being whipped by a master.
I mean,
and
whether you like it,
like,
whether you like
I
it,
was rooting for that because he hit me and he made me feel bad. So therefore, now I'm rooting for him to be hurt. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like
it's a natural feeling. Well, there's a difference between this and that in the sense of like Chris Rock has a personal bone to pick with Will Smith. Like he actually like had this Antifa guy slap Tucker Carlson. I could understand why Tucker Carlson would be like, yeah, get that son of a bitch. Even kill him is a stretch, because again, it's tricky when you're using the words kill him. Does Tucker Carlson literally mean I hope this guy, which it later on in this conversation here, it proves that he did mean that, because I should remember that somebody loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. So there's not even like any creative interpretation here that we can use. Tucker Carlson was literally saying like, kill him, like kill this man. When Chris Rock he's making a joke about a movie, and plus Chris Rock was actually personally struck in the face by Will Smith. So it's totally justified.
But Tucker could be like personalizing with what people that he knows are going through. Like, people who maybe he knows someone who was beat up by Antifa. We don't know. We don't know the situation.
Yeah, but it's not even an eye for an eye. It's like,
but it kind of is though, because I want
this guy to shit. Yeah, but if this guy in particular had he actually killed somebody, then I can understand. Like, yeah, I want this man killed.
But Antifa was killing people.
Right, but this is again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form sticking up for Antifa whatsoever. The bigger point I'm making here is like, it is a little shocking that Tucker Carlson did not necessarily have a little bit of self-awareness to know in what he was saying that this would be a controversial thing, and would not necessarily put him in the best light. And I'm not saying, among his base, like his base is going to stick up for him no matter what. The people that love him, that's how it goes. But you are not going to be certainly winning anybody over with this post, other than
it's definitely a controversial take, but I think it's a very human take, and it's very interesting. And I think Russell Hall has a really good question here that's saying, but why would John automatically assume that Tucker was generalizing Black people? He never said it's Black. There are more races than Black and white.
Well, I mean, it's not how white men fight.
But you're
what is he alluding? Is he saying Spanish? I'm saying like probably the, one of the larger minority demographic. Of course, I'm jumping to that, but of course we could say it's not how race X, Y, or Z fight. I mean, it's not how white men fight. It's like Tucker. It's a very big generalization to make on his part.
I think there was more of a generalization about humanity and wanting to hurt people.
I don't even know if it's a general
that do you wrong.
I mean, I've seen a bunch of white dudes jump people. Yeah, I mean, it's not like
I've seen that too.
It's not like it's just a very odd thing to say, and that's why I'm bringing it up. But I'm not assuming that he's saying that it's Black people or this or that. But I'm just saying,
it is a weird.
Once you say that it's not how white men fight, I'm like, what planet are you living on? And again, whether you want to get into the exact numbers, I don't even know how we could classify or figure that out. But like, it's a very odd thing to say because.
Oh my God. I don't know.
I feel like that's just my thoughts, where it's like you're opening a can of worms once you say that. And that's really my bigger.
And they did. And so that's why CNN is jumping on it, because they're like, they're saying like he's racist or whatever, comment about, finding himself rooting for a mob of Trump supporters to kill a person. Like, that's not what he was saying, though. He was reflecting on an idea that a man you can believe in some sort of part, like the worst part of yourself, but then catch yourself in that moment and think to yourself, hey, what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing exactly what they are doing. And I think that, I can course correct because I have critical thinking, whereas in those people don't, because they're just acting, right? Like, and he has critical thought. So he's saying,
well, it paints him. Yeah. I mean, in a way, like, sure, he's sharing his faults and how, or maybe his flaws again, in terms of his thinking. But I think at the end of it, you want to think like, or he wants you to think like, yeah, Tucker's a good guy, like there's a purpose to this. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And I don't think it's like Tucker's trying to, he's sharing this to try to change people's minds in terms of how they're thinking. Hopefully, hopefully that's the idea, is that let's treat people more humanely. Let's think about people as individuals and not,
I think so.
affiliations like Antifa or whatever, like, even though this guy is part of Antifa, he's still a human being. And
yeah, he's trying to humanize.
But it doesn't seem, the thing is, it just doesn't seem that like noble. Like, wow, good for you, Tucker. You don't want to see this guy get killed. Like,
it is noble though, because in the day and in the day and age where we're told constantly by the media to divide, and you should see this group as this and that group as this. It's his responsibility to say something like this, to make sure that people that are predominantly followers of his don't go out and, think that that's an okay thing to do, that it's okay to go and do that kind of behavior. It's not. And we as a humanity, we need to come together and understand that you are the worst part of yourselves if you if you think the way that you do in this case. That's why he caught himself. I mean, I often think about that. Like I said, I often think about those things myself, because I'm like, man, I really freaking hate Fauci, and I really freaking hate, so many different people, and I wish ill on them all the time. But is that really what I want to do with my heart and soul? Is that why I want to? There's a Persian saying, it's an old Persian saying that says, if you do a certain thing, like it means you dirty your own blood. You dirty your blood if you think a certain way, and if you put that negative energy out all the time. So it's like, I think that's what Tucker meant by this, is like, don't dirty your own soul and your mind by thinking like, you're any different if you're thinking you should go, when you think that way. Exactly. It was transparency. And I think it's clearly fallen off deaf ears.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's something that he intended to probably be maybe not necessarily applauded for, but he's trying to convey a message, and that is the message. But I think when you do that, again, I've never watched a video where, like, it's only with, well, at some point or another, like, yeah, I want to see, there is definitely the wanting to see retaliation or justice. But to admit that you want to see somebody be killed, and again, depending on what this guy did. Now, if this guy killed somebody, then I think you're perfectly well within your right to be like, eye for an eye, kill this.
Is it though? And that's the point, because like, I mean, I feel like that about Fauci, and I'm like, Fauci ouchie's done its thing. And I'm like, is that true? Like, should I feel that way? Do I have the right? Sure.
There's a difference. There's a difference between, I think, somebody like Fauci, and somebody like a little member of Antifa who is being manipulated, right? Like, Fauci is a manipulator. And somebody in Antifa, they're probably brainwashed to some extent.
Right.
They're just, and that's not alleviating them of any responsibility for their actions whatsoever. I'm not saying that. But they're pretty small. They're pretty small in terms of the scale of influence that they have, compared to like a Fauci and the type of destruction that a Fauci has done.
Well, and that is it's interesting to kind of think about the moral ramifications as well. Because I mean, I was having this discussion the other night with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like, you know, the idea of you know, moral, like having the moral high ground on things, or like, you know, having the idea of like, because I was recently watching this anime called Monster, where it kind of talks about like, you know, the moral aspect of things, or like when is it, when should you take a life, if you should ever take a life, or like, you know, things like that. And I think that it's really interesting when you think about that aspect when it comes to who you are as a person, and like, you know, the what that could mean for your kind of like, I guess, for your soul, the battle for the soul, right? Like, well, what would that mean for you if you kind of like follow that line of thought? And then I was thinking about it, and how women in general are much more likely to have empathy, because we, like, in a sense, like, you know, I feel like we've gone to this route where we have empathy, and we have misplaced empathy, because misplaced empathy can be a very, very bad thing. Because if you're having, like, because I feel like that about, let's say, a certain group of people that, you know, right now are trying to do certain things to kids, and you're like, well, like that
Yeah.
idea, like that group of people, like the fact that, oh, these people might have gender dysphoria, or like, you know, I have all these, like, a lot of people, especially women, you know, constantly feel bad about these people, and then it makes it so that, is it misplaced empathy? And I think it is, because sometimes that can be really detrimental to the growth of like pretty much everybody. Like, and it could be really fucked up to have that misplaced empathy. And I guess, is Tucker in this scenario practicing misplaced empathy? I don't know. I think he's trying to kind of
I don't think so.
catch himself in,
Sure.
you know, what it means to be human, really, right?
Well,
I mean,
absolutely. And that's the thing. I don't think anything really is like, I don't think, well, again, I find the well, it's more the lack of self-awareness. I do find the thing where it's like, that's not how white men fight, as if there's like some code among white men how to fight. You know, like that does stand out to me as a little weird. But as far as the rest of it goes, and I guess, I suppose, here's the other thing too. I suppose I could understand how he, you know, especially with there was a lot of videos going out where there were groups of people beating up other people, where he's making, you know, coming to these conclusions about things. So, okay. You know, I can kind of get that. But again, when you're a guy like Tucker Carlson, and you have a following of millions of people, and you put something on the internet, like, you have to really stop and consider and really think through how it's going to come across to people. And granted, it's like, nobody's perfect. And I'm not saying, you know, for the most part, like, Tucker rarely ever does, I think, something where he says something like, you know, and this isn't even that, I'm not even saying it's bad, but it's just like, you have to have the awareness to see how it will be interpreted by other people. And that's where it's
I don't think he posted this, by the way. I think he was
okay.
I think this is because this is a redacted portion of Exhibit A. So I think this is something that he wrote somewhere, and they're using it as a, like, in court documents, I guess, because this is something that,
so what you can see there, New York Times. Okay. So he texted this. Tucker Carlson texted, "It's not how white men fight." So that's what I think people were saying was the, you know, which is kind of contradictory of, well, I mean, it's when he says, like, it was like 3 white guys ganging up on one guy, you know, like, so apparently, you know, white men do have the propensity to fight like that too.
What a weird situation. I mean, yeah, like, he is a public figure, and obviously, I'm sure he thinks about those kind of things all the time. Like, what I say, how is it going to be perceived? But to some extent, like,
no,
how
if he
much of
shared
that
that
could
in
you
private,
do?
I think it fares a little bit better, because then it doesn't even seem like you're trying to score any points with anybody.
I think it was private. I think they're like, these are all private messages that this is all the private stuff that's coming out about him now that the media is trying to make him look bad. Here, let me go to the CNN article so we can clarify this. So like, let's see what CNN's trying to say.
Oh, they got a hate boner for Tucker. I mean, he's
Tucker Carlson sent a racist text to a producer. It's not how white men fight. A newly revealed text message outside Fox News host Tucker Carlson made a racist comment and said that he found himself briefly rooting for a mob of Trump supporters to blah, blah, blah. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching a video of people fighting on a street in Washington. Carlson texted a producer. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable. Obviously, it's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for a mob against blah, blah, blah. We read that. Carlson sent the text message to one of his producers in the hours after the violent January 6, 2021 insurrection of Capitol Hill. The message was redacted in court filings and was just one of several private messages collected in the lawsuit filed by Dominion Voting Systems against Fox News. A source familiar with the matter confirmed to CNN that the text was first reported by the New York Times. Text message alarmed Fox's board of directors and played a role in Carlson's abrupt firing last month, the Times reported. Fox News declined to comment on CNN's report, blah, 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 blah. So that's basically it. So it was a text message that was in the...
He sent to a producer.
Yeah, and it was in the Dominion filings. But I think that this is what the step is for Fox, CNN, all of these guys against legacy media, to try and discredit this man in order to, I don't know, to CNN, I don't know to what extent, because I was making a joke about them wanting to hire him because they let go of Don Lemon. So I was like, maybe the funniest shit would be if Tucker went to CNN and started working there and like, his replacement. But that was like a total joke. Like there's no way that he would ever do that. But I just think
if the money was right,
I don't think he would. I don't think he would ever go to CNN. Like, but mind you, I mean, like, hey, stranger shit has happened. So I mean, I don't know, but
well, if you're CNN, do you start thinking like our numbers are in the toilet?
But now, like, they're talking so much shit about him that it's like, why would he ever go and work there? Like, he would just be like, no, I'd rather like work, independent.
Sure. I think that's Tucker's best move at this point is to go out on his own and do his own thing. But if the paycheck and the payday was right,
they might. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think CNN's going to do it. That would be very radical of them.
No, I mean, I think that maybe CNN's trying to make it so that he's worth less money so that they can offer him more money. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
If they were serious about making him an offer, they're not going to.
No,
they wouldn't be.
They would never make him an offer. I don't think he would ever accept.
You wouldn't try to damage a potential asset.
No, that's of course not. Besides, CNN's a piece of shit place. I don't think he would ever work there. Mike's Bad's Knees, thank you for the 5, says suggesting that by mentioning white men, then black people forgot another way kind of shows your own racism, because that's not what Tucker said. So that's
well, I mean, sure. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's I mean, I could see how you could say that, but I mean, I would just like he's singling out, I guess, what's the next biggest minority, or what's the next biggest group of people? Maybe it's somebody else, but it's always, the thing is, like, everything's so divided into white and black issues that yeah, I probably jumped to conclusions to say that, but I mean, yeah.
Interesting to.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of videos of
introspect.
Like, specifically, I will say black people beating the shit out of like one white guy. I've seen a lot of videos of that. So that's why I'm probably coming to that conclusion.
Your mind went there, but that's generalizing, right?
But no, but this is the thing though. I wouldn't say that it's true though. I wouldn't say that, because not all black people fight that way. So that's the point I'm making.
No.
Or, you know, any race for that matter.
Then
it's more of an individual thing. But yeah, how would you even get into percentages of how white men fight?
I know white men can't jump. I've never heard of a specific fight style. That's all I've ever heard. Gary Thomas for 5 says, John, are you forgetting Antifa showed up at his house while he was away and his wife and children were home alone? I definitely forgot about that. I did not remember that.
Yeah, I don't even remember that.
That is
again
actually happened. That's crazy.
My biggest thing is like, and again, it's a private text, but so it wasn't necessarily like a social media post, but to put it out there and to say that you wanted somebody to die or be killed, that was my main point. Is like, yeah, it's probably not the best thing to put on social media, you know. But in this case, it was a private text. I get it, yeah. But even your text can be used against you, you know, depending on who you sent it to.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, look at this. You're right. I totally forgot about this, Gary Thomas. Thanks for reminding me. From CNN, Tucker Carlson claims his door was cracked by Antifa protesters. The police saw no sign of that. That's interesting. Okay, there you go. Apparently he was. And then we had Russell Hall for 5. This is getting tiresome. Let's cut through it. Tucker was fired because they want to keep a lid on Trump and Kennedy, especially zero platform for them. I kind of agree with this, but I also think that it's funny that the DNC won't let Biden debate Kennedy. I mean, that just kind of says it all, really. Kennedy's been so based, and I think you're right, Russell, about this. Who did he receive $100 billion from, or offer?
From what's his face? Patrick Bet-David. Yeah.
$100 million?
I believe so. Yeah.
Who's that?
The guy who owns Value Entertainment.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It was public, you know, he put it out there and he tagged Tucker. So not a bad offer.
That's an interesting start. I still think he should go independent. I would go independent if I was him. I mean, he has so much pull. I would just make my own studio. The Tucker Carlson Show. And now that the writers are on strike, all of the late night shows are canceled. Oh man, he's gonna make so much money just doing his own thing. Just do Rumble exclusive shows. It'll be CNN defending Antifa as usual. They really were, even with that headline. It was really funny.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god.
They hate Tucker Carlson, you know, which you know, they're going to, because he's talked a lot of trash about them. So
yeah, he says the Antifa showed up at his house, but who believes him? He's probably lying.
Oh, about that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on with the topic of Tucker Carlson. To some other media commentators that we're more familiar with, because we're on YouTube. At least I'm more familiar with these guys here. Matt Walsh and the Quartering had it out again on Twitter today. Yeah. I don't know if you saw any of that, but it was an interesting debate. Did you catch any of it on Twitter?
Oh, well, I seen Jeremy responding to Matt Walsh, and I watched a little bit of Matt Walsh's video of him responding to Jeremy's tweet. So I got a general idea of what's going on. Yeah.
What a terrible picture to use for the Quartering. Come on, bounding into comments.
It's not terrible. Could be worse.
I mean, he's making it like that face. I mean,
his mouth isn't like wide open though, or it's not. It's definitely not the most flattering picture of him. But I've seen worse. But you would think they would, they'd give him a little bit more of a flattering picture, of course.
Yeah. Matt Walsh triggers Jeremy the Quartering Hambly with Christian teachings about moderation and discipline in regards to video games. What an interesting headline as well. Now, the interesting part is that I agree with both people. Like, there's certain things that I agree with Matt, and there's definitely certain things I agree with the quartering. I think they both have great points. I think Matt is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I think Matt is talking in retrospect now. Like, I don't know if he's changed his mind about certain things because, like, there's videos, even Bounding is like posted here. Like, for example, this take here. This is from October 17th, 2022, where he's talking about anime. And he says this.
What's your opinion on anime? It's really popular amongst teens and young adults. I think it's all satanic. I have no argument for it. I have no argument for why it's satanic. It just seems that way to me. All anime bizarre, creepy.
Like, talk about generalizations. Like,
well, here's the thing: from somebody as thoughtful as Matt Walsh, you'd think, at least, right, that he would have reasons. It's
there's
like,
no reason.
I think it's all satanic.
All demonic.
I can't give you any, that's just kind of like a general feeling. I mean, it's like, well, if you think something is satanic, you should be able to give, reason 1, 2, and 3 why you believe that. Not just it's just a general, vibe I get from it.
I don't think he was being sarcastic at all. I think he really meant that. And I've heard him say similar things before this. It's just really funny that way. And then, but I don't know, like, I think he may have changed his mind. Like, I think he's like thought about it and he's like, hey, maybe like
he was like, maybe that was a stretch.
Yeah, maybe it was a stretch, or maybe I made too big of a generalization, and maybe I should like, rethink what I mean, and or like, maybe it was a poor choice of words. Maybe he was being sarcastic and it was a poor choice of words. And he's like, wow, I just alienated half of the people that listen to me because they watch anime. So, and I don't mean to say that they're all satanic, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think he's kind of like changed his mind a little bit about certain things, but there was something he did say here that I kind of agreed with. I think it was
ordering
this one here.
I think it's safe to say
no, not this
outrage mob demands even more reasons to be mad at me. And so they will not only sift through my daily comments, but they'll also dig through everything I've said over the past 10 years to find more ammunition. And this creates a situation where nearly every day I have factions of the outrage mob.
Oh, God. Okay. Poor you.
That was a long time ago. What are you talking about? And they'll say, well, here's what you said, and you said it, and we're mad about it 7 years later. And I'll say, okay, well, have fun with that, I guess. I don't know what to do for you.
No. The part I'm talking about that he says is when he talks about screen time for kids.
That's why we all pretend insanely that there's nothing wrong with or disturbing about a child spending all day killing people in a virtual world. Shocking stuff. Apparently in 2018, I made the provocative claim that children shouldn't spend all day playing violent video games. Lots of people apparently disagree. They, I guess, think that children should spend all day playing violent video games. I mean, I could see a response where you say, well, no kids spending all day playing violent video games. But to respond like you disagree with the statement is another thing entirely, but that's what happened. Now, part of the reason why people dig up old tweets is that it gives them, or they believe it gives them, a rhetorical advantage because they can pluck one statement from the past, completely remove it from the broader context and conversation it was a part of, ignore everything else I may have said about that subject at the time to flesh out my views, and instead they can engage with this one statement as if it was made in a void.
I don't know about this.
It's a clever way to make a straw man out of somebody's argument, even while quoting them directly. It may be a correct quote, like I did say that, but it's only one part of a larger thought. And the larger thought is lost, leaving only the one single piece that you have isolated. For an example of how this works, here's what a guy named George Alexopoulos, who has a relatively large social media following, apparently. Here's what he tweeted at me yesterday in response to my tweet from 5 years ago. He said, quote, "Video games are a medium."
I like how he always has to kind of like talk about people's followings. Like that's one of the things he does constantly. He talks about the quarterings too. He's like, well, like, you know, I have more followers than like blah, blah, blah. Or like the quartering has more followers than blah, blah, blah. And like the same thing with George, whatever. I mean, he seems to have a pretty big following.
Well, I
like,
think
who fucking cares?
No, I think part of it might be is where he wants to make a point that I'm not picking, at least this is why I would say something like that. I'm not just picking on somebody with a relatively small following who nobody knows. Like, I want to let you know that I'm not just going after, just some random comment in my comment section. I'm going after somebody who does, for whatever reason, have a large following. Because
Okay.
I'm not, I'm not picking on just anybody.
He just seems like an egotistical person when he goes into like follower
Not
accounts.
a genre.
This is not the video. I don't think.
I mean, the only thing where it would be
Philistine.
egotistical is if he says like, but I've got a bigger one than him. I've got a bigger following than George, like that would be, because I don't know how many people are following Matt Walsh, but I think the only reason why I would say that is to like let people know, like, I'm not picking on some just random person in the ether out there.
I get that. I get that, but he was talking about the quarterings followers though, and you see, Little Sauce doesn't know he was talking about the quarterings following because he has less followers. He brings that up quite often.
If he is bringing that up to,
it's pretty
say
weird.
Like, hey, I'm because I have a bigger following than person A or B, that makes me more credible or better or whatever. Yeah,
now,
that's a terrible
George's point here, to G Prime's point, I completely agree with this point. Like, I think that this is one of those points that this is a really great point, and I've made this point several times as well. Like, because I'm a video gamer, so I'm like, and I love anime, so it's one of those things where anime and video games have such a vast amount, it's like an umbrella term, like, and there's vast amounts of content in each place. So to say that kids, like, if you play video games, then you're playing Call of Duty, like, there's no, like, you cannot compare a game like Call of Duty to something like Mario Maker. You cannot, like, there's no, like, there is, other than the platforms, there is no connection other than the fact that they're both video games. There's no connection. And George is really right with this point here. Now let's see what Matt has to say about it.
If your child is only playing games where he's murdering people, get educated and buy him Minecraft, Rocket League, Mario Maker. Better yet, play games together and bond. Debate me, Matt. He wants to debate me.
Well, here's the thing, Nina, though. Here's the thing about this is where he did say debate me. In this case, in the case of George, where it's like
he wants to debate.
Now, of course, Matt Walsh was not necessarily debating, but he's answering his point, where he was kind of George is asking for it. So it's like, okay, in this case, by all means, like, if Matt Walsh wants to respond to that, I don't blame him for that. It seemed a little odd to me that he went out of the way to, basically counteract to what Jeremy was saying when he wasn't specifically addressed. But maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe he was.
Let's see what he has to say.
I'm aware that non-violent video games exist.
Are you?
However, in that one particular statement 5 years ago, I was specifically talking about violent video games, which also exist.
Well, he was saying all day.
Violent video games are a genre. And I was talking about that genre. Okay. So just because I'm talking about one thing in particular, it doesn't mean that I'm denying that other things also exist. It's just that this is what I'm talking about right now, or what I was talking about 5 years ago. There was much more straw manning where that came from. The Quartering tweeted, quote, "The right's weird obsession with disavowing video games, anime, and social media is why they will never appeal to most of Gen Z. The base is literally dying off, and most of the voices in the community are actively refusing recruits." Well, with all due respect to
That's
Jeremy
also a
from
great
Quartering,
point.
I think it's safe to say that I have recruited more people into conservatism than he ever has or ever will.
Ooh, that is
This is the portion. This is the portion I saw.
cringe.
Yeah.
This is such a cringe point for me. Like, I'm like, recruited into conservatism.
Well, just
like,
the
that is
whole
such a
idea.
weird-
Well, here's the thing. Like, it doesn't sound good. The whole idea of recruiting. I get what they're saying, but it's not like a very.
Dude, it sounds
know?
commie as shit.
Yeah,
like,
it
I'm
does.
gonna recruit you to what? To the
Right.
cause? Like,
Right.
what the fuck are you talking
Like, is that
about?
what? And I don't want to say that's what we are, because I don't necessarily, even myself, I don't even like to. I certainly lean right. I'm certainly far more of a conservative than anything.
Mhm.
In a lot of ways. In some ways, I'm probably a little bit of a libertarian too. But it's like, I don't even, but to just the way it's said, like, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think it is sounds very common.
Well, it was a very poor choice of words, or that's how he really feels. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm recruiting people to the cause. Like, that's why I'm here. Like,
is that what what this is?
And what's funny is a lot of people have commented at me or at like in the threads with Quartering and stuff like that about how the Daily Wire hire Brett Cooper and this other person that I'm not really familiar with, because they're like younger and they're like, playing video games and stuff like that. And it seems almost to me is like, oh, like they recruited Brett Cooper because she's young and like she could like, get to the young ones, because like, now they're like more open to opening the door, because maybe they found out, oh, like, our position of being stuck in the past and thinking that like, video games are bad for everybody, or like, anime is bad for everybody, is not necessarily the strongest position.
Sure.
And we need to reach the younger generation. So we need to actually get the younger generation to come on our team and pretend that like, or not pretend, but to play games so that we can get more recruits or whatever. I don't know what he's thinking, but it just seems like in the same line of thought that like, we need to course correct to a way to get more young people in. And not necessarily a bad thing, because I'm like, okay, like, they want to open more younger generation's eyes to conservative ideas, but I don't think that this is not how you go about it though. Like, I mean, this is I mean, they are though with Brad Cooper and the other guy. I forget. Somebody said his name. It starts with a K or something. I don't know. I forget his name. But anyways, let's keep watching this.
I do sometimes, I have to admit, get a little bit tired of hearing lectures on effectiveness from people who are far less effective. Like at a certain point, these people need to.
Also, I've watched Jeremy from the Quartering's content for several years now, and he's never once claimed to be like, conservative or like trying to recruit for conservatives or like, he's never like said anything like that. So for him, for Matt to be like, oh, I'm like so much more effective than Jeremy as a conservative recruiter.
But going back to the Quartering's comment, he did say he used the word recruit first.
Okay, let me go back.
And I understand
the rights videos' obsessions with disavowing video games, anime, and social media is why they will never appeal to most of Gen Z. The base is literally dying off, and most of the voices in the community are actively refusing recruits. Okay, I see what you're saying, because he used the word recruits.
Yeah. So in a sense, though, he's not necessarily saying that he is part of that. He's making a criticism about the right.
I just think like,
so it's kind of an odd thing to, it wasn't even like Jeremy was saying, I'm recruiting more people to the right than Matt Walsh.
Right.
Like Jeremy never makes this argument that he is, but it seems like Matt is
taking it as the Quartering saying, yes, I'm
doing that. Yeah. Where I think Jeremy is just making an observation Maybe I'm wrong, you know.
No, I think you might be onto something, and I think Jeremy did make a really good point. Because the thing with the thing what I like about Jeremy's point of view, and what I agree with Jeremy, is the fact that, like, you know, I'm old enough to remember when Republicans were constantly talking about how Grand Theft Auto is, you know, causing people to mass murder people, or like, you know, Call of Duty is causing people to do that, or like Grand Theft Auto is causing people to like want to break into cars, or like, and all of this stuff has become debunked. Or like, I'm old enough to remember even when, you know, we were told, you know, Dungeons and Dragons was bad by the right, and like how it's, you know, Christian far right conservatives were against Dungeons and Dragons because it has pentagrams in there. You know, like there's certain things that the right has always, or like Harry Potter, or like, you know, different things. Or the right's always kind of made these very specific stance about culture and about pop culture in general, where it's like they kind of alienate everybody, people who are like, you know, into those things, even though they may come from very conservative families, or like very conservative households, or whatever, what have you. And then they're just alienating them and being like, oh, you're not truly conservative if you like what you like.
Sure.
And I think that's the kind of like, quote unquote,
well, I think
downfall.
That's how people can interpret it too, where here's the thing is that, you know, people that do, like, let's say in this case, like people that game and they really love gaming, they enjoy it. And maybe to some extent, maybe some of those people do have a problem. And this is what I would classify as like a bad addiction, right? Something that actually impedes your responsibilities. You know, you are putting that over your priorities in terms of, like, you know, the important things.
Absolutely. I agree with that too.
And so I think somebody, especially people
Everything
who have a problem,
in moderation.
like if it is a drug problem, like, because you'll see the same thing in terms of like people who are addicted to drugs. There's always, they will take it. They'll get extremely offended at the idea a lot of times, and then take it extremely personally. And so I think some of that does happen. And that's the reason why Matt did get the backlash that he did, was because there are people out there that do have a problem, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
And we don't, you know, and they have a bias towards gaming, which is understandable in the sense that, like, if you like gaming is one thing, but maybe they're not necessarily willing to admit that, yeah, this is actually now in the realm of a problem where I do play video games too much. And so of course you're going to have backlash and retaliation to what he said from those people, in the same way you would have from a drug user who says, like, it's not really a problem. It's not an issue. Like, it's not affecting my life that much, when in reality, it's affecting your relationships. It's affecting your job. It's affecting, you know, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And
there's a level of denial, and that's
and I kind of agree. Like, I agree with all of what you're saying, because I think it's the extremism, right? That's the problem in this scenario. Like, it's like, you know, extremism is always a problem. Like whether it's from religion to, you know, not believing, like the belief, like completely at the other end of being an atheist, of like the no belief, or you're super, like, you know, just whatever. Like, there's just extremism is always a problem. So when you're extremely believing into this idea of video games, excuse me, and you're becoming obsessed with it, and you're using it as a form of escape from your own life, because you know your life maybe is hollow, or like, you know, there's a pain in your life, or there's something that you're trying to cover by going into this like fake world and playing it for hours on end without taking care of yourself. Of course, like, those things are a problem. But, like, you know, the idea that, you know, video games or anime would be satanic, or like, you know, like those kind of things.
That's
to
a very blanket statement.
It's just dumb. And there was another person, not Matt Walsh. There was another person who had tweeted out, I don't know this person's name, but they had made a generalized statement as well, saying, you know, anime is for like pedophiles. And I was like,
Yeah,
that is such a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
And yes, it's true that anime does have a very dark place with lolicon and like, you know, all those kind of stuff where they do dabble in that thing, and I don't like that aspect of it at all. But as someone who is an anime fan and who's basically like, you know, grown up on anime, like to say that anime is only for pedophiles, it's just something that's just
ludicrous.
so completely
Like
it's just
that's ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense. It's like, what are we even talking about? But there was a point that Matt Walsh made that I really liked. Now hold on, let me see if it's
Most of
in
Gen
here.
Z. The base is literally a recipe that's been perfected over.
No, I don't need to hear
learn
your
something from
commercials.
people who are achieving more than you are in
You're
this
always
fight.
gonna get
like honestly with that Daily Wire stuff, it's like I don't know who sits there and watches their weird commercials, but
possibly people are raving about Genucel.
Oh my god, no. Hold on, let's see. Was it here? There was a point that he made that I really
turning
liked.
to their cancel culture roots. Feels like the 1990s all over again. Don't be left wing, don't be right wing, have both.
And the point that he made, I wish I could find it, was when maybe it's not this video, where he was talking about screen time for kids and screen time in general. And I really agree with that point, because I think that there's a point where there is a point to be made about how much we allow kids to have screen time. And like, you know, there's a point to be made about, you know, even us, like when we were growing up, that we never really, like, we didn't have too much screen time growing up. Our generation didn't really have that much screen
we
time
still
growing
had
up.
TV. You know, but we got outside a lot more, I'd say.
We got out a lot more. I mean, like maybe you did because you were in you know, first world country, but you know, with our TV, especially in Iran, like we got like 4 channels, and they were all Islamic Republic stuff.
Yeah,
like, we barely ever freaking watched
you're not gonna
TV.
be binge watching that.
Yeah, so like, you know, most of the time we were out playing. You know, a lot of times we're out in the park, we're out and about, and I get on the bikes, you know, like those kind of things. Like, you know, when I was listening to Cecil talk the other night, and we like, one of the things he said and made me totally think about that was that whenever we were, you know, we were trying to find who's at whose house, is like you would, you know, bike down the lane and look for the kid with all the bikes outside his house, because that's how we would find out who's, you know, whose house everybody's at.
Yeah.
And that's true. That was our generation's thing. And I think a lot of the people like in this generation don't really go through something like that. And it's always like they just get put in front of the TV screen, and the TV is like basically their second parent. And now it's not just TV, it's computers, it's iPads, it's, you know, cell phones, and it's like it's literally everything. It's everything that you could possibly think of is screens now. So books, even, like, you know, you barely read paper books anymore, so you always have these Kindles or whatever. You kind of like don't really, you always have in some sort of screen. And I think that's an issue that Matt Walsh raises, and I agree with. I think limited screen times, especially for kids, is like, for me, like if I was to have kids, I would limit my kids' screen time. That's a personal decision. Like, I don't, like, obviously I don't think it should be a law. Like, I'm not like, you know, it should be a law. Like, we should pass laws to limit screen time. Like, no, none of that. But I think it's a personal thing for me. I would be like, my kid's going to have limited screen time. And to a certain age, no screen time. Like, you know, I would get like, I would not allow my kids to have screen time up to like, you know, age 6, 7, 8, you know, it just, no, especially as babies. Hell no. You want them to be touch, understand, like you want them to be engaged. You don't want them to be sitting on a screen. And I really do think that about screen time being detrimental to kids' growth. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know if necessarily like I'd keep them away from a TV or not have a TV in the house till like 7 or 8. But I do believe in like limiting screen time. And I think when your kids are you know, let's say teenagers, or I think it's just a good practice for them to be in, where the idea is like your video games are your reward or recreation time. You know, as long as you're doing first things first, then you can do, then you have, you know, you can spend your free time however you want, but you want to get your kids acclimated to the idea of performing their priorities or their responsibilities first and not putting fun over those. And the reality is too, is that things are just far more enjoyable when you've gotten your work done.
Absolutely.
You know, like there's no guilt in kicking back and having fun when you've taken care of, you know, quote unquote business, where it's like you've done all the important things for the day. And so, okay. Yeah.
I mean, that was an old school
too.
thing. That was an old school thing. You would do your chores. Like, are you done your chores? Okay, now you can go play.
Do your homework.
Like, do your homework. Do your chores.
So
good.
I think that's something that is just good to instill in your kids, because it's going to give them a level of discipline that is going to, you know, quite frankly, in an undisciplined society, they're going to probably thrive, you know, rather than just get by and survive. And so if you can instill a good work ethic in your kids, it just makes sense that, yeah, they're going to outperform their peers. And I don't want to make it sound like it's a competitive thing, but the reality is the world is competitive, whether you want to believe it is or isn't.
Is 100%.
You are in a competition, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. You are. Tom Berry, Matt and Master, thank you for the 25.
Not everybody gets trophies. Discussion.
No, but they want to make it like that
in the real world. You know?
Yeah, but they want to make it like that. Everyone gets a participation trophy, and it's like, no, like there's winners in this game. You know what I mean? Like there's winners and there's losers. And you know what? One of the winners is right here with 25, saying Tom Berry Master for 25, saying thanks for the interesting discussion, Nina. I still like your show, even if you're an anime watching creep. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's funny to me because anime can be anime is such an interesting thing because it can be so disgusting. It can be so gross. It can be so awful. I've seen the ugliest side of anime, and I've seen the very, very best side, because it can also be gorgeous and loving and kindness, and it can be beautiful. It can be mind opening, and it can blow your mind to a point where you're like, oh my God, what did I just watch? Like Akira. But you know, it's just one of those things. Like, which wolf do you want to feed? Like, what part of that anime would you want to enjoy? Which part of it do you want to watch? And, you know, feed your soul. That's another thing that, you know, Matt Walsh talks about that I kind of agree with. And that's just a personal thing. It's always a personal thing for me. I don't judge people for watching it. I never have. But it also makes me like, it's never really vibed with me. And Matt Walsh talks about horror movies sometimes. He says like horror movies are not very good for you. And I kind of agree with it. I've always been one of those people who's like, I don't like, especially a certain kind of horror, which is the weird gore, like, what's the word? Like, I guess gory, just like very violent.
Are you saying slasher? Or because I feel like even some slasher movies they don't necessarily show a whole lot.
Not necessarily like slasher. No, I'm talking about like really like very violent. Like you don't really. It's not necessary to be to have that. Yeah, overly
graphic.
But it's just a personal thing, and I've always felt like with that, and like, you know, with any of those kind of things, that it's what you're choosing to enter in your brain. And whatever you choose to enter in your brain, yes, like torture. Like, I don't like those kind of weird things. Like, I feel like when you're putting those things in your brain, it causes you to think differently. It really, like, to me, it does. It's affected me, and that's why I don't like doing it myself. Like, it's a personal choice.
So now that you say that, though, in terms of, like, you're saying that a certain type of entertainment affects the way you feel and think.
Yes.
Which I think
all of it does. Yeah. I think all of it does.
And that's where I think conservatives, you know, craft the narrative and the idea that video games have an impact on kids and their behavior, where I agree to the larger point that sure, like 99% of kids that play Grand Theft Auto are not going to go out and steal a car and kill people. But with that said, I don't think we can ignore the fact that there are highly impressionable personalities as well.
100%.
And that is something where there is, whether or not you like to acknowledge it, there is a certain level of reality to this idea that, yeah, ideas and things do have an impact. Well, certainly ideas do, but entertainment has an impact on people and how they act. It just, and that means sure,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I think all visual media has effects on people. I actually do agree with that. I don't think it's necessarily going to cause people to go murder people. I don't think people who watch horror movies are going to go like murder people or like torture people. Like, I see Christy in the chat. I know Christy, shout out. I know she likes horror movies, but I know she's not a murderer. Like, it's not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not like, it's not like, it's just one of those things where it causes my psyche to not feel as good. Like it's just one of those things. I just don't feel as good when I watch stuff like that. So I'm like, well, why should I watch it? There's like, for example, my good friend Nick Ricada, he's been trying to get me to watch this fucking anime called Redo of Healer forever. And I'm like, no, Nick, like, I'm not going to watch it because I know the premise, and the premise is about this fucking character that goes on, gets wronged and then goes on a mission to revenge rape everybody in his path. And I'm like, that is just not something that I vibe with. Like, I'm not interested in the premise. I'm not interested in revenge raping. I'm not interested. Yes.
Like if he just wanted to kill, if he wanted to kill everybody, would that have been a little bit different?
I mean, I don't know.
I feel like the rape thing is a little bit extreme. Like that.
It is.
That's something I would have no interest in watching. But like, let's say a Kill Bill, where Uma Thurman, it's a revenge story.
Or I was thinking of Punisher. Like, yes, sure. Punisher also. Like, but at the same time, even Punisher. Like when I watched the first movie, I was like, oh my god, like that was a bit much. Like I was like, oh, okay, like
the one with Travolta.
No, the one with the other guy.
Oh, okay.
What was his
name? The TV series or John?
No,
Berthel?
No. The I don't know, the first movie I watched. Another one.
Well, I'm not saying like John Travolta. John Travolta was the villain in the first Punisher film.
Oh, okay, yes, yes, because he wasn't the Punisher. He was he was the bad dude, I think. I think it was in the 2000s.
Yeah, there was a torture. Yes. Yeah, there was a torture scene, but it was pretty sanitized. And I didn't necessarily buy into it either.
Yeah,
they would have killed that guy, and that guy would have gave up the information.
Yeah, and I remember like I was kind of like really just like, oh my god, like when I watched that movie, I was like, holy, like my eyes at the end of it, I was just like, oh my god, I feel like my eyes got raped. Like, holy shit. But it's just, like on some levels, you're like, okay, like, that's why I never watched Saw. Like, I've never watched a single Saw movie. Because I was like, you told me to watch, like, for example, Midsommar.
Hereditary?
I was like, or Hereditary. Never watched it because I was like,
Hereditary was, Hereditary was, I think that was worse than Midsommar. Yeah.
I was
Midsommar is pretty weird, but I will say, like, I got this weird feeling in my gut just watching Hereditary, like this uneasy feeling.
And I think those are designed like that. Like it's designed to make you feel incredibly uneasy and like, like I was so curious about Midsommar because we had that discussion. So I went and watched a review, like a spoiler review of it, because I was like, I'm not going to put this in my brain, but I want to know what it's about. So I went and watched a spoiler review and I was like, thank God I didn't watch this movie. Like I was like, there's no place on earth that I would ever watch this movie. But
I think I'm sorry, Nina.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I think the thing that one of the things that I appreciated about it was like it was a horror film, but it was also done in a very thoughtful, artful way. But it is like absolutely like you kind of put yourself in the shoes of the character or this experience, and you're experiencing it as they are. And I think for me personally, there's also something about cults that I do find like there's a fascinating thing.
They're fascinating for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like I watched a couple documentaries about some different, one was on the Source family last night, and the other one was about a Christian cult who thought the world was going to end in 2007 or 8.
What was it again? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
The first one was called the Source family, and they were basically like a bunch of hippies. I think it was in the 70s who they were experimenting with drugs and stuff, but they went out and started their own community and commune, and they were making their own music. It was it was just an interesting story, and how, you know, this large group of people, they followed this guy, and then of course the cult leader takes 12 or 13 brides, and you know,
I mean,
like,
that sounds interesting.
Like, it all seems to go the same way with these cult leaders. Like they're all, it turns into a polygamous thing,
of course.
You know,
I mean, it's all very interesting, and I usually like my favorite type of horror is psychological horror. Like I like psychological horror way more than I like gore stuff, and I like when, even when like gore stuff is supposed to happen, it's left to your imagination. Like I think there's an art in filmmaking where, because I think your imagination can always be worse than what's actually shown on screen. That the power of the human imagination is far superior to whatever it is you're shown. So I think that there's an art to that when a director makes you think about the worst thing versus showing you the worst thing. And like that's the kind of, like those are the kind of stories that I really love. And I'm like, that those are like, they creep me out to my core, but I'm like, but I don't feel fucked up having seen it. I just feel like, oh, like, you know, because I didn't get this visual, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you think about it, but you're not visually just constantly like, because there's like scientific stuff to that too, right? With the screen and like the sounds, and like there's a lot of stuff that goes into, and I'm talking about even video games. Like there's a lot of
your brainwaves change. Like when you're watching television or a movie, I think there's alpha brainwaves and there's beta brainwaves, and your brain goes into a whole nother. Now I'm not sure with video games because it's a little bit more active in the sense that you're interacting with things, but I know as far as television goes, your brain does slip into like not as an active state as it would be.
Right. And then you're like, you know, you're open to messaging, and that's why the subliminal messaging works and like things like that. And that's why I always love the Outer Limits opening. Remember when like the Outer Limits was like, for the next like 60 minutes, we're going to be taking your brain waves. And I'm like, you know, do you remember like how like the opening was? I was like,
vaguely,
and that always creeped me out, but I was like, yeah, have my brain waves, like take
I submit.
I submit my brain waves to you.
But there is a level of that though, like where when you watch a film, you know, you are in a sense putting your mind in the hands of a director and a writer and a, you know, story, where you're kind of like you're giving into the illusion of it. You know, it's an illusion. You know, it's not true. But in order to, if you are going to like fully enjoy it, you kind of have to forget about that willingly, right? And just watch it and get immersed into it. So I totally understand where you're coming from with the horror thing. Why you don't want to watch horror films. I get it. I've actually watched. I will watch. I think I'm a little bit more open to watching them now because I think horror can serve as like almost like in some cases like a bad dream where you wake up from a bad dream and you're like, oh, thank God, you know, like you're more appreciative and you have more gratitude about life,
what's going on in your daily life. I mean, that's why I really like I don't usually watch, that's the other thing, like I don't usually watch horror like as a genre on my daily like you know, whatever, but I do watch it during a certain time of year, which is Halloween. Like I keep, you know, that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna save it for Halloween. Like even when someone's like, "Oh, you gotta watch this horror movie," I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna save this for Halloween time," and like I'll watch. I'll get my horror out then, and then kind of like be fine with that element of my life. I'm fine with it.
I've got a question. Do you think, and this is for the chat too, feel free to chime in. Who do you feel like is a bigger proponent or watcher of horror films, men or women?
Ooh, I've never really thought about it. I think men. I think men like horror movies more.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know though.
I would say, in my experience, it always seems like the opposite. I feel like women gravitate toward horror films more.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never like.
I think more men actually. Again, I'm not saying it's not like no men ever watch horror films or don't want to watch horror films, but I'm just saying I think more women like them and enjoy them more. At least that's been my personal experience in terms of like who wants to watch them.
My experience has been different. My experience has been like mostly guys. Like women, like usually like women usually like action adventure or like I don't know, like funny and maybe supernatural, like yes, but like horror, especially like gory stuff, like not really like that. Not as far as I know, but hey, it seems like a lot of the chat says women too. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Is there a statistic? Can you pull it up?
What's up, Kai? Somebody said, well, Kai said, horror has predominantly female audience. But then we got Shindig saying men because they get more, they get violent more, but they also watch action and sci-fi more. Little Sausage says women are into all that true crime.
Yeah, that is
100%.
Yes.
That is not, you can't argue that. Women watch true crime more.
We
than
do.
Men.
We watch true crime. That is our horror. Like, and that's one of the things. That's what I was telling you about. Like, I love psychological horror. Psychological horror goes with true crime. I love true crime, and true crime can be terrifying sometimes because you think to yourself, oh my God, like this actually happened. And I like, those are the things that make you imagine things. And like, yes, like women 100% like true crime for sure. No doubt about it. Aiken for 799 says having more followers doesn't mean your wish to jump off a bridge is a good one. Wow. That's a really good. That's a really good analogy, Aiken. Russell Hall for 2 says redo of Healers for chumps. Watch Grape Man. No, I'm not. No, Russell. Fucking you and Nick trying to get me to watch these disgusting animes. I'm not watching it. Russell Hall for 2 says Grape Man only grapes for justice and to help people. Stop it, Russell. Aiken for 299 says Jane Theory agree about Terminal List beach scene. Wait, what happened to Terminal? I'm trying to remember that now. Oh, yes, that's right. We didn't agree about that, Aiken. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with him? And she wanted them to all die. I remember that. DL for $1.99 says, speaking of video games, are you playing video games tonight? Probably not after this. It's gonna be pretty late. So, I need my beauty sleep. So most likely tomorrow I'll play some more Jedi or something. We'll see. I'm playing Jedi Survivor. It's really sad, John, because they made a better Star Wars game than any of the Disney
actual movie.
Trilogy. Like, it's too bad because if they had made the game story even like in the movie form, I think I would have liked it. I think I would have been fine with that game as a movie, even though they were probably like race swapped the main character because he's a ginger in the game. So they probably made him a black man or black woman. So either way.
What about Lizzo? Wouldn't you want to play with Lizzo?
Yes, that is who they would cast. Okay.
Or Jack Black for that matter.
I did want to also hit on this topic. I did send her the link, but she told me she's really busy tonight, so I don't think she could make it. So we're going to talk about this. And that is the fact that my good friend Chrissie Mayer was basically harassed by American Airlines. Her and her friend Keanu, who also I met on Simcast. She's a very nice girl. They went to Vegas, and on their way back, they were asked by a very creepy, and this is what I would call creepy, American Airline employee who was a male and apparently not gay, because I asked Chrissie if she thought he was gay, and she said no. Apparently she thought that he was straight. Yeah. And that he asked them to change in front of the gate, didn't even let them go to the bathroom to change. And they made them change from these outfits into these outfits.
Why?
And apparently Keanu was basically naked from the waist down.
Why?
And apparently,
I guess we're gonna find out.
And I don't know if she was on her period or not, but she did. I heard her say that she was on her period during the Alex Stein show, because I was watching that earlier this evening. And if that's true, that's even more horrible. And I think that that's just ridiculous. What's the difference? I mean, clearly there's a difference here. You see the pants that Chrissie's wearing, and she's wearing a skirt with a slit. The pants were see-through though. So like she's wearing like kind of like dark undies like there, and then the pants are see-through. This picture is not as good looking. So the lighting's not catching that. But so they made them change into these shorts, which were more revealing than the
I would say the latter's more revealing.
Yeah, and the reason given is that they have a dress code, and that they were asked to wear like not something as revealing, which I think is ridiculous, because this is not revealing. Like,
yeah, like
I don't know
they wound up dressing them down even more.
And to make them do it in front of the gate,
yeah,
like that is insane.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I think there's a potential lawsuit there.
I would 100% sue. If that happened to me, I would be like, I don't care.
It's a big freaking airline, whatever. They've got money. It's not, yeah, if the lawsuit's there, I'd go for it.
I would.
Well, if you legitimately felt like you were being publicly humiliated and shamed, or you were wronged, then
100%.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
That seems utterly ridiculous.
I would I'd be reaching out to Nick Cicada and like being like, "Yo, man, I got a lawsuit. It's at
least ask them, inquire,
Yes,
and really see what your chances are of winning. Because if they're I don't know what their dress code is, but it seems like they're showing.
Let's
more.
see. Okay, hold on.
They're showing more than they were before. Like it doesn't make any sense.
I'm looking it up right now. American Airlines dress code. According to American Airlines website, passengers have to dress appropriately. Bare feet or offensive clothing aren't allowed. What does that even mean? Like,
offensive clothing is such a wide, or it's so open to interpretation. That's the problem with it. Offensive clothing. I mean,
what is offensive?
If somebody's wearing a "Make America Great Again" shirt, is that offensive?
Right. If you're if you're wearing a MAGA hat and you're in a t-shirt and a fucking jeans, is that offensive? I'm not really sure what that means. Like,
I would assume if your breasts are, covered for the most part, or the nipple, right?
Sure. I guess maybe
your private parts are
nips
covered, then I would say you're probably good, because they let it's the woman on the right here, it's like her. They didn't make her change her top, so I'm assuming that's okay. But
yeah, and that's the thing that gets me, John, is that I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, was the problem the fact that they were wearing crop tops? But then I'm like, okay, but apparently
it looked like
not.
they were in the terminal afterwards, and they were fine, so that wasn't the problem.
Yeah, Keanu. They were both wearing crop tops. So if they were both wearing crop tops, and they're still wearing crop tops. The top wasn't the part. So the stomach is not the issue. So what is the actual issue? Like the see-through pants and the slit on the skirt. So you make them change into these shorts that are like short shorts, which you still see plenty of leg in. It makes no
She's
sense.
showing, yeah, they're showing way more leg. I mean, especially the girl on the right. To me, she's showing a lot more leg than she would be in the one on the left. So
okay, I'm
very
going
odd.
to. Here's the dress code from American Airlines. Like this is from American Airlines website. Dress code. For most of us, being comfortable in flight extends to clothes we wear. America doesn't have prescribed dress code for our non-revenue guests. So as long as your clothing is neat, clean, and doesn't offend or distract, you're good to fly in any class, including premium cabins. If you're looking for more specifics, here's a few. When we say offensive or distractive, we mean you shouldn't wear anything that's overly revealing, like super short shorts or something that is sheer or see-through. Okay, so see,
That's it. Okay.
She was wearing sheer or see-through
They
pants.
changed into super short shorts.
So yeah, they made them. So they made Chrissie wear from sheer or see-through pants to short shorts. So I'm not sure how that helped. It didn't. That also extends to swimwear or sleepwear. Of course, it's always okay to change into your American provided pajamas if you're lucky to snag a first class seat on a premium international flight. How is that okay? Like, what, you can't wear your own pajamas, but if it's like,
if you're in second class, if you're in first class,
if you pay enough,
you could wear the pajamas.
And like, if you pay enough, you can
pajama
wear our
privilege.
pajamas. If you bring your own fucking pajamas, we'll probably tell you to fuck right off.
Oh, American provided pajamas. Okay.
Yeah, American provided ones, John, because if you go to your first class with your own pajamas, you might get kicked off the flight. Just letting you know.
Wow.
It also means to avoid any attire that is vulgar or violates community standards of decency. When in doubt, ask yourself, do I blend in with customers? Who's reading this? If so, you're probably set if you're traveling for the company. Business or business casual clothing is encouraged. You know, instead of do I blend in with customers, I would say a better question would be like, would I wear this to church? You know, like, is what the fuck is that mean? Like, what? Like, who's asking themselves?
Like, why? It's such a bizarre thing, you know. Like, make sure you're blending with everybody else.
Make sure you're like a sheep.
Yeah.
You all wear the same thing. Bah, bah. Like, holy shit. Yeah, and it's a flight from Vegas. Like, are they like?
I know.
Are they even considering this? Like, they're a fucking Sin City. Like, who's? Oh, let me dress up like a nun. Why don't you provide burqas at the gate, bro? Like, what the fuck?
Do they have anything about like people that are like 400 or 500 pounds? You know, like obese. You know, because I would imagine that would be more of a problem than somebody with a dress code issue. Like, you know, somebody having to sit next to somebody that is like halfway into their seat, you know.
That's apparently not an issue for overweight people. It's an issue for everybody else. We just have to get on board.
Well, that's what I'm assuming the dress code is over, right? It is for other people, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it is so other people won't be turned off from flying American Airlines or whatever it is or United, you know.
Yeah. Let's see what else this gem has to say, because I did not expect how bad this was going to be. And jump seat riders should consult their operating department flight manual to lead address guidelines unless travel requires a company badge be worn, like travel when occupying the jump seat. Team members and retirees should not wear company or security badges when traveling non-revenue on a confirmed space or business ticket. Okay, whatever. Who cares about that? All right, so that's it. That was the dress code. So, I mean, so she was wearing sheer or see-through pants. So, but then they got her to change into short shorts. I don't know if she's gonna have a lawsuit on her, or like if she can.
Yeah, it might be
because of this. I don't
yeah.
know if she can sue.
Yeah, they're probably covered, I would
That's
assume.
covered.
But here, no, well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know jack squat. But I would assume, like, why did they have to change at the gate?
Yeah, that's where the lawsuit might come in.
That's what I'm thinking, is where it's like, can you please go to the bathroom and change? And
the public humiliation is the
that's where I think they might have something there. I don't know. I'm not Ricada, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him about this. Like, that would they have a case? I don't think they would have a case based on this, but they may have a case based on like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, they've got their rules, they've got their guidelines, they're probably in the airport or whatever. But yeah, I don't think they can make you change in front of everybody. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not.
Yeah, I would never do that.
Fucking, buck naked in front of complete strangers changing.
Yeah, I would never do that either.
Like
there's no way in hell that would happen to me. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. I can't believe she even did it. I would have just been like, no, fuck you.
Well,
I'm not getting on the flight.
Even if like Chrissie, if they exchange, like if Chrissie like covered her or whatever, it's like, it's still in a public setting and it's still embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Nick knows, obviously Nick would know.
I'm not sure, Leonara. I would like to ask her this myself. I wish she was
here.
A good
question.
So that I could ask her this, because that's the first thing that came to my mind as well. Like,
if it was their decision,
why weren't they able to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, like if it was their decision to do it, then okay, there's no lawsuit.
That's yeah, exactly. Like, because I would be like, is it like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and change, and they're like, no, sorry, like you can't because you might miss the flight.
Not enough time or whatever.
Yeah, like,
but they've extended flights. Like, what? It's gonna take you.
Yeah, but we'll be right back. So it's like, you literally know we're going to change pants. Yeah. So it's like, I don't really know. I don't know. Yeah,
where you would say like, all right, this flight is leaving in 5 minutes. Be back.
If you're not back, we're leaving.
And usually there's a bathroom nearby. So.
Yeah, and I mean, this is also the thing, the laughing asser. It's like the airline would settle, is my guess. Like I would think so too. I don't think.
Yeah, they don't want any part of that if there is a lawsuit there.
Anyway, shout out to Chrissie Mayer. I can't believe she was put through that ordeal. That's ridiculous. And American Airline, they really need to
bullshit.
Change their game a little bit. The other part of it that was kind of shocking to me was actually the response of American Airline on Chrissie's post, because like that was the other shocking part. Actually, let me pull that up, because I was like, what the hell? There was an American Airline employee that was really, really rude to somebody who was commenting on Chrissie's comment about it. Or was that Keanu's post? I don't know. Let me pull it up. I'm going to pull it up in just a second. God, I should have bookmarked that because that was ridiculous. They went off. Okay, wait. Let me share this one because this is just funny. This is just a meme Frank made. Frank is Chrissie's fiance. Found the guy who made Chrissie Mayer undress at the American Airline gate. It's like the meme.
I've seen. I tuned in the Drunk 3POs. I saw this part of the live stream where this guy was getting. That's put in the various memes.
Yeah, and then there was another one. There's Keanu. I think this was a response to her tweet. Let me see. Hang on. Just in case she's got like something spicy. I don't want to go through that. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this was her tweet to American Airlines. By the way, this is another picture that they posted. I don't understand how my friend and I were forced to change clothes at the gate in front of everyone minutes before the flight took off. Our outfits we had on were more than appropriate. Tell me what y'all think. And this is the see-through pants and the skirt, and then they made them change into these outfits.
Yeah, I mean,
which
it's
is
so
really
it's
weird.
so freaking bizarre, you know. It's like they look far more covered than they did before.
There was another reply. Okay, here it is. So Keanu said that, right? And then American Airlines like, your comments concern us. DM us additional details and your record locator.
Oh, okay.
And she goes, how about you DM me? I was forced to be butt naked from waist down at the gate on your airline. Please and thank you. And they're like, and you'll need to follow us and send us DM. So this dude is like, I don't like the fact that you're barking orders here. What is wrong with you, AA? You could at least say please. And they come back with, who let the dogs out? Who on the real? We'd really like to help and kind of ask you to please follow us and send us a DM. I'm like, what the hell?
Who is in charge of their social media?
That is
the thing is, like, why they shouldn't even have responded to him, because he has nothing to do with it, you know. Like, you're supposed to be
terrible response.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with them. They should have said please, have a little tact in it, you know. But this leads me to believe like they're like, oh shit, you know.
This is like, I don't know.
They might offer them. They might offer them some free miles. You know, like I imagine America, like they'll probably want to compensate them because this is bad publicity.
Well, apparently Chrissie was talking on Alex Stein earlier tonight, and she said she's a gold member of American Airlines, and apparently they've offered her basically like nothing.
Wow.
Like, so at least so far, she's like, we're still, they're still in talks.
Are they talking with them?
Okay. Yeah, they're in talks.
There's no reason why they should not be able to get something out of this. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
some free flights, something.
Yeah. But I just think like when I saw this though, I was like, first of all, I think this is like either an like unpaid intern or I don't know. Like, I just feel like what the hell happened to customer service in America?
Right.
Because that was something that was a staple of America, was customer service. And like, you know, the kind of like if somebody messed up, you would get something, you know, credit or whatever.
On a reel, we'd really like to help. Like, what? On a reel?
On a reel. Who talks like that?
That is not. That's not. You can talk like your friend. You know, talk to your friend like that, of course. But you are a business. Like, there should be some sort of protocol in terms of how they're training people to talk to customers. Like,
this is crazy. It's a crazy, crazy response. I did not expect that. I was like, what the? I didn't expect the whole thing. Like, I at first I thought they were making it up, like they're joking. And then I was like, what? Because they're comedians. So you think that they're like making fun. And it's probably someone from India. I don't know.
I think there's a potential lawsuit there, especially if American Airlines is coming out and saying like, yeah, this concerns us, because they're probably like, oh shit. Fuck. What? And they got to show, you know, they got to show up in the comments too, because it's like they want to get on it, right? They don't want to necessarily.
This is okay. Yeah. And this is not the first time this has happened, because I remember a few months ago, this actually happened with some other woman. And this is, you know, yet another woman has been told to cover up. So what actually is American Airlines dress code? I remember when this model chick was told to dress up.
I sat next to a girl on the plane. This was years ago, but she literally had, it wasn't a bathing suit. You know, they were short shorts though. Like, they were really short shorts, and I don't think she had much on as far as on her top. You know, she was with, she was there, and her boyfriend was next to her. She had no problem. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with their policy, but I could tell you that she was less covered than this chick here. That much I do know.
It's crazy to me. Hold on, I'm screenshotting this because John Edgar made a good point. Screenshot. Just in case they block it. Or delete it, I mean. I screenshotted that for them, just in case. Yeah, I mean, I've sat in flights where people have been in all sorts of outfits, like way less than this girl, like on the right. I've been
Well, I
to
can't tell
flights where
what's
they
the
wear
before or
PJs.
after. You know, what's the problem here? Like, is that a robe on the right? Did she make her, like, what did they make her? Just
Let's
based
see.
off of
Olivia
Chrissie's,
Popa revealed that she
their
was
photo.
asked to cover up before boarding an American airline flight, leaving travelers wondering what the airline's dress code really is. And in an Instagram story posted on 13th January, Olivia's sister shared that the former Miss Universe was told to put on a blouse on over her outfit, or else she wouldn't be allowed to fly. The clip showed that she was wearing a long black cardigan, biker shorts, and sports bra. She looks cute. She looks appropriate. Aurora said about her sister. They call her up to the desk and tell her that she needs to put on a blouse on, otherwise she can't get on the plane. Okay, so like she was wearing this.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, I personally don't get it. I'm not, we're not living in a. No, I could understand like
in Islamic society, say it,
right.
dude. You're not
Well,
freaking Saudi Arabia. What the fuck?
Well, I wasn't necessarily thinking that, but it's like, I can understand if somebody was wearing a bathing suit. I could understand where it's like where their ass is just hanging out, and okay. But
I couldn't, not on a flight to Cancun or Florida or like somewhere else like that, like you're going to the beach. Like you're going
I'm saying like
on the
a bathing suit, a thong or whatever, like, because bathing suits are just as revealing as underwear at times.
Yes.
So,
okay. I'll draw a line at like, dude wearing a Speedo on the airplane. I'd be like,
I don't want to be sitting next to a guy who's wearing a fucking Speedo, and I don't care what a woman's wearing or not wearing. Doesn't bother me one bit. But but I get it. I get the idea of it. But for me, what she's wearing is like that's not, it's not really. Her legs are covered,
well, and easily this thing can come over her stomach.
Well, that's what it looks like. That's the thing. Had she not been wearing that, it's like, okay, maybe I see where you're going with it, but I understand why they have these dress codes and policies, but at the same time, how do you enforce them? What's the exact standards? Like, make sure your ass cheeks are covered and, like something. I mean, like, give us something very solid.
Make sure ass cheeks are covered. Lizzo didn't even do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, give a visual description of what exactly is appropriate,
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
To what point on the thigh line? To what point on,
Yeah, I mean, Lizzo, to be fair, Lizzo was on a private plane. So, of course, they're like, she can wear whatever she wants on a private plane. But, I mean, I guess that's where I draw the line, is like a dude in a Speedo. I'd be like, I don't really want to sit next to that. So maybe I don't really want to see that. But that's pretty much it. Like that, like everything else, like I honestly would be fine with seeing a chick in a bikini. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? Women are beautiful.
Well, usually it's going to be women that are going to have a problem with it, though. Other women.
Yeah, because their dudes are going to be staring at the girl.
Exactly.
So that the other women would have problems. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. American Airlines needs to cover their stuff or figure this stuff out, though. But it's
like
ridiculous.
If somebody's sitting next to me, I don't have to look.
Sure, of course
that's
not.
the thing. Whatever, I can read. I mean, maybe they might be in my peripheral, but like, for the most part, it's like I don't have to look. The whole irony of what Chrissie Mayer and the other woman had to deal with was Keanu. It was that they actually were less dressed after the fact, and they were made to change in front of her.
Yes, that is definitely the ironic part. But yeah, anyways, that's the story. I was gonna call it, but I do want to get your take on this last story here, because I'm just kind of like I'm kind of annoyed about it. But here is this one here. says the Flash production designer isn't worried Ezra Miller's history will derail the movie. People will forget that. I will never forget it because I've done several videos on him about where his life has gone since, becoming a child actor and so on and so forth, and how much of a criminal he is. But what are your thoughts on this? Are you gonna watch the Flash movie? Are you interested at all in what this movie has to offer, especially because Keaton and reportedly many cameos are going to be in it?
Sure.
Are you interested? Do you even care about Ezra Miller's past or history, or do you not care?
The trailer does look, it looks like it has potential to actually be a pretty decent DCEU movie. I don't think James Gunn saying the DCEU will be irrelevant is helpful to this film, but I don't think it matters. You're bringing back Keaton, which will be a selling point for a lot of people. I mean, me personally, I'm not going to probably go out and see it. I'll probably catch it on streaming, watch it in the comfort of my own home, just like I'm going to watch eventually Shazam when it's probably released on HBO, just like I'm going to watch Ant-Man when it's released on Disney Plus. So I do think he's right, though, or she. I don't know. I don't want to assume any genders here. Who the production designer is?
They.
But no, whoever they are. I don't think most people are very knowledgeable of who Ezra Miller is, what he's been involved in. I think Warner Brothers has done a decent job, and the media itself has not. Oh, okay. I think they've kept it out of the spotlight enough. It's been out there, but most normies, most people, they don't know. And I don't think it's really going to affect the movie. I just don't.
Okay. So
had Ezra Miller been a regular heterosexual, and I say regular because the majority of the population is heterosexual. I'm going to clarify that. But had he been and done the things that he did, he could have maybe got Kevin Spacey'd or whatever. Who knows, Like the consequences would have been a lot more dire for sure.
I think again, I kind of think the same thing as you, John. Like, I think personally, because I do this work and I know that he's a piece of shit, that I'm not going to go. And I know a lot of people that follow my channel are in the same boat. But I think you're right in a sense that a lot of normies just don't care. Like, normies usually don't care about that kind of stuff. Normies just like, oh, looks like a fun movie I'm going to go see this weekend, Yeah. So I think in that sense, he'll be fine. But for them to say his performance is so strong, strong to make us forget about it. Nah, I'm not forgetting about it because I'm not going to go see this damn movie. He says, he's not just concerned about how the story surrounding Miller will affect the film. People will forget that he said nothing that Miller did a superb job playing the titular hero as two distinct characters, which required production to shoot the film in two different chunks, with Ezra switching roles every few days. Oh my God, he already sounds like he's multiple personality disorder. So now apparently this movie is going to be about him being multiple versions of himself.
But I mean, think about it, Nina. Of course, this guy is going to praise Ezra Miller because he's invested in this project as well.
Yeah, of course.
His success is tied to Ezra Miller. So it wouldn't make sense to he's not going to say anything incriminating about him.
Why not say nothing though? That's the thing. If you want the very idea to bring attention to something that
his potential to get future jobs as a production designer will, you're only as good as your last stuff that you did. And so if this movie is overwhelmingly successful, it makes it that much more easier for him to get a very good paying job. If this movie flops and bombs, he shares in that, to some extent or to some degree it's always good to have your name attached with something that is successful.
No, I know, but I'm saying like the very idea though that if you're this Paul guy, right, and you're like, oh, I want this movie to do well, and I think people are gonna come see it and or whatever. Why not like not bring up Ezra Miller's, you know, weird past?
Well, if he gets asked about it, you know, that's one thing. I don't know if he did or didn't. I don't think he's just bringing it out of the blue. Maybe he is, though. I don't know. But I'm assuming he's probably asked. He's being asked about it if he's bringing it up.
Yeah, I guess.
But Ezra Miller is he's a star of the movie too, so it's kind of difficult.
I would have to watch
talk about him.
Yeah, I would have to watch the interview, but it's saying in the show, like in the interview with CBC, he says people will forget Miller's history when the film is released. Like, why even say such a thing? Like, just
no,
be like,
it is an interesting thing to say. That's for sure.
Like, especially like now Variety is going to remind everyone, remember what happened with Ezra Miller. The actor was cited in Vermont felony burglary last year after state police investigation and inciting involving several bottles of alcohol being taken from the resident. Do you know what I'm saying? Like now.
Well, here's the thing. It's all depends on the because when you read these articles too, there are quotes that are lifted out of an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times you're not privy to what is said before or even afterwards, but literally you're just getting a quote. And I think, you know, most people in the same way normies are not going to give a shit about Ezra Miller's performance. Most people see quotes and they just run with them. And they don't necessarily look within the context of like what's being said. So what I'm thinking here is asked, you know, he potentially in this interview is asked, do you think Ezra Miller's behavior is going to be a problem for this movie? And again, we'll have to look at the complete interview. And then he's responding, look, his performance is so good, they're going to forget about anything they heard about him. You know, that's why that's what I'm thinking may have happened. Don't know for sure. I'd have to see the interview myself.
Yeah, I'm trying to look now that you said that. Yeah, like what was said. Hold on. Ezra. Wait, what did he say? I'm not worried about it. What's the quote that they
people won't forget. Well,
people will forget. Okay, hold
on. That's in quotations.
Yeah, so let's see. People will forget.
It's not if you scroll down. Yeah, it's not even.
Okay, so this is the transcript. Ew, CBC. Gross. This is the transcript here. So that presents a huge risk for stars legal trouble. At the same time, these movies live or die by the reputations of the actors that lead them. In the Flash's case, the Ezra Miller, the burglar star of the film. What? The beleaguered. Thank you. The beleaguered star of the film, who's been arrested numerous times in the past few years. That represents a huge risk for the film and those who've dedicated the past few years to it. But Osberry says he's not too concerned about how the stories around Miller will affect the film. People will forget that. He's nothing. He's noting that Miller did a superb job. So we're not getting what the question was. Okay, so never mind.
I'm thinking it had to have been brought up if he said that.
I'm guessing too. Must have been. I wish there was a video so that we could see.
It seems like you wouldn't go out of your way to bring up all of the issues and problems that met.
It would be weird and counterintuitive to what you're trying to do to say, oh, people are going to just forget it, but let me bring it up so that we can write articles about it. Like, it just makes no sense that he would even bring it up. But anyways, did you see the Dune trailer today?
No, I didn't. I saw that was going to be released today. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
Ooh,
did you want to do a reaction or?
I don't know if I want to because they're going to claim it.
Yeah.
They're going to claim it. So I'm like, but you should watch it. It was good.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
I rewatched. I did rewatch. I saw Dune twice now.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you like it on the second viewing better?
Oh yeah. No, I think it's, I think it was a little bit, not that it's like extremely heavy with plot, but just watching it the second time, you're a little bit more clear on what's happening. especially if you're not familiar with the world and
Yeah.
You're not familiar with Dune.
I want to watch it again, but I'm gonna watch it again like before I go see Dune 2.
Oh, okay. That's
Maybe I'll watch it again now, and then I'll watch it again right before I go see Dune 2 again, because I really did enjoy the movie. I thought it was great. Let's close out the show with a fun video, which is this. This lady just pushed a fucking bear off the fence to protect her dogs.
Damn.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Wow.
Oh my God. Can you
I've
imagine?
seen that before. Yeah.
Wait, there's a bear cubs.
I mean, that dog looks like a bear.
Dude, that's why it's funny, because the bear mom is protecting the bear cubs from the dog.
Yeah.
So if anything, the dog is the instigator here.
Well, they're feeling threatened, I think both are.
Oh, the mama bear had bear cubs. Hey, she's protecting her babies too.
Well, maybe that's there's more than meets the eye, right?
Yeah. And then this little fucker is gonna get eaten.
Well, I mean, again, both parties are feeling threatened here. You have a bear in a very urban setting. There, obviously, it's probably lost or just
mom versus mom showdown. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm on the bear mom side.
Kudos to the woman, man, who just pushed this bear down. I mean, she could have got her face clawed up.
I know. She's like, not my babies, not my babies. Yep. No.
She's showing that, it was mom versus mom. That's what it was.
Oh my God.
That maternal instinct just,
the first time I saw this video though, I didn't see the bear cubs. And now I'm like, okay, it makes sense why the bear reacted the way she did too. Because she's protecting her cubs.
Well, it's the idea of like sometimes there's no good guy or bad guy in a story.
Yeah.
I mean, not 100% entirely. Like I think there are cases where, of course, maybe somebody is more right than the other person, or definitely, is completely blameless. There are a narrative can be that too. Somebody's just attacked for no reason. It's very clear there's there's a victim and there's a villain, but yeah, sometimes there's just a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of gray in between the black and white. So yeah.
Mr. Howard says that doesn't look like the bear's natural habitat. You're right. And also I really like your icon. She's pretty. And on that note, I'm going to end the show. John, it's been super fun talking to you.
Yeah. It's been good as usual.
It's always fun to talk to you. So I guess if you have anything you want to plug, please let everyone know where they can find you and what you got coming up next.
If you want to find, you won't find me. You'll find my videos on John Talks. So if you're interested in that. I also have another channel called The Junk Drawer of YouTube, where I have random videos being posted there. Usually old stuff, and it's just kind of an oddities channel. So
wait, what is this called? I didn't put this on the
you don't have to. It's like I still got to get my second channel up and going again, but okay. Yeah, it's kind of like I guess it'd be my third channel. Yeah, The Junk Drawer of YouTube.
Junk Drawer of YouTube?
Yeah.
You've never even told me about this.
Yeah, it's just kind of a little side. There's probably like 10 videos on it.
Okay.
I haven't been very good about uploading on it.
Well, I'm going to subscribe.
Thank you.
This is the, let me make sure this is it, right? Hold on. This is it?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty similar format to my other
to your other channel.
Yeah, it's just not as political.
John's new channel. So if you guys are interested, that's this one here. Give that a sub. I'm going to have to put this in the description as well. I also have his other channels in the description. So if you guys are interested in all of that, go and subscribe there.
Thank you, Nina. Appreciate it.
No, of course. Yeah. And yeah, so check out his videos. He does weird 30-second videos or less that are funny.
No, usually a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit more, isn't it? It's like 45 to
probably in between like 30 seconds and a minute, usually.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure, John. Are you gonna go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Yeah, I'm waiting for streaming. Yeah.
I'm gonna go see
just
it.
None of the yeah, let me know how it is.
I will. I'm gonna go see it because I feel like that's like the last great Marvel movie that's gonna be made like ever. So I'm like, I want to be there. And I saw the other two in the theater. So I'm like, I want to be there for the third one. And I like Chris Pratt. So
yeah,
I want to support Chris Pratt and the rest of the cast. If Rocket dies, I will riot. So I'm letting everyone know right now. If Rocket dies, I will riot.
He's
probably gonna die. He's probably gonna die. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching tonight. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. Special thank you to those of you who super chatted, became a member, or gifted membership. By the way, Braz Monkey, I saw you gifted 5 memberships and I forgot to thank you. So thank you so very much for gifting 5 memberships to the chat. You guys are amazing. Special thanks to my mods as well, who are super awesome and give me their time to, plug links and things like that. So thank you again, you guys. And I will be back probably tomorrow, probably with some gaming or something else. And then, of course, on Friday for Infinite Hope to balance out this crazy, crazy world and give you guys some white pills and make you remember that there are good things happening as well. Until next time, do you want to ring your bell?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's all you.
I don't know about you, but I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell. Gotta have it, baby. Gotta have you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.